Despite a few months of the midterm election seeming to trend towards the Democrats for a few reasons. One, Biden and the Democrats started to do some stuff. They passed the climate bill. They did the student debt cancellation. Oh, and also the right is trying to make Gilead come true. That has apparently now stalled and is perhaps moving in the opposite direction. New poll shows that 49% of likely voters say they plan to vote for a Republican to represent them in Congress this election, compared with 45% who plan to vote for a Democrat. That had been just a month ago, a 1-point advantage for the Democrats. So I'm not a mathematician or anything, but like 1 in 20 Americans that plan to vote has now flipped for some reason. And we're gonna try to figure it out. Specifically, Republicans have opened up a 10-point lead amongst independent voters. Democrats had a 3-point edge amongst independents back in September. The biggest shift has come amongst women who identify as independent voters. They favored the Democrats by 14 points just a month ago. Now they favor Republicans by 18 points. They're apparently independent and want their rights to be independent of their own choices. I don't know. They're free to believe whatever they want and vote for whoever they want, but that is a massive shift inside of 1 month. The New York Times has interviewed several of these quote unquote independent voters. One, Robin Ackerman says, I'm shifting more towards Republican because I feel like they're more geared towards business. Robin Ackerman is a Democrat, by the way, and isn't going to be focusing on the social issues, the cultural stuff, rather on the Republicans who are more for business. And that is a hell of a position to take. I don't understand at this point how you could possibly think under any circumstances the Republicans taking power is going to be a good thing for the economy. But maybe that's just my bias, and I'm talking more generally. But specifically in this case, the Republicans could not be more clear that one of the main reasons they want to take power in the midterms is to wreak havoc and cause as much economic harm as possible, so that Biden or Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or whoever it is running in 2024 will look as bad as possible. They're not even pretending to feel some sort of ethical or policy-based obligation to deliver for America. The little bit of bipartisanship they've been willing to engage up to this point is basically going to be Thanos away if they take power. And so for all of the reasons to believe that the Republicans should take over, the idea that they're going to be serious, responsible stewards of the economy is one of the most on its face laughable. But maybe I'm wrong. And I'm not surprised, Michael, that a lot of people would think that for some reason, but what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, first of all, you have to dig deep into this stuff. Shane's a great reporter, and I'm sure he has. Some of this polling, either the one that showed the Democrats up 14 points or the one that shows the Republicans up 18 points among independent women, is wrong. I mean, there's a 32-point shift in a month that has seen no real action points to the inaccuracy of one or both of those polls, and likely both. And what everyone has to realize too is that these midterm elections typically do go to the party out of office. The other part of this is that we're learning now, and I think a poll out of New York and the governor's race there today, which shows Kathy Hochul 4 points, only 4 points ahead of Lee Zeldin. It shows us that crime is, for better or worse, an issue that's being tagged on or for correct or incorrect reasons, tagged on Democrats. And the Republicans are using that as a wedge issue successfully in a lot of these races. I would imagine that the Hochul race for governor of New York is one absolutely that where crime is the issue. So if they're able to successfully do that in a lot of the districts and a lot of the areas where there's Democratic control in states or cities, it stands to reason that that's going to change the who are you likely to vote for result. Polling, though, again, also flawed. The way we poll, we're learning how to poll again. It used to be that the two difficult states to poll were Nevada and Alaska, and every other state was a standard poll. You polled 6 o'clock in the evening, you called. Now they're doing online because they can't call. They're doing cell phones, which you can't always get access to. People don't answer cell phone calls from numbers they don't know. It poses a challenge. So the polling audience the polling industry is learning how to manufacture results through those different ways of polling that they haven't had to do before. So I wouldn't put all my stock in these polls, but what it is telling us is that people are falling for exactly what you just said, John, which is the Republicans are saying they would be better for the economy without saying, of course, that they would wreak havoc on the economy, which is likely what would happen because they want to set up 2024 for themselves, and they can do things to keep the economy stable. But some of those numbers, but through legislation, if they run the House, are going to be a disaster that they're going to try and pin on the White House.
Yeah, 100%. And what again? Like just saying inflation is bad is not a solution to inflation, especially when it's coupled by like opposing in rhetoric and votes literally any effort to fight back against inflation in literally any way, particularly in gas prices. They've had no interest because why would they? They want the prices to be high. They have to say that they don't, but politically they want them to be high and they can afford for them to be high because they're rich. So it's just the idea. What if you're an independent voter, what do you think they're going to do other than try to pass tax cuts for the rich? Which worked like gangbusters the last 3 times they did it. I don't know what they even think is going to happen.
Well, mildly interested voters don't think that deeply about it. They think, there are a lot of homeless people. Oh, there's a lot of crime. Oh, these people are in power, I'm going to vote for the other person. They don't think about tax cuts. They don't think about inflation. They don't think about long-term spending. They don't think about a budget not being put forward that's going to have their best interests. They don't think about tax loopholes for the petroleum industry. So that's what you're up against here. And the educated voters, I would imagine, the people that spend a lot of time digging into this stuff, know this, and they are not going to vote for the Republicans this time. Most of them, some of them will because that's just their will. But I think it's a big problem because of the sort of the headline-ness of the way people engage in politics these days,
and pretty much everything. And my final point before we move on to stuff outside of the economy is if I can provide a bit of a spoiler for what's going to happen leading into 2024, the Republicans now need to take control of Congress because the Democrats in Congress are responsible for how bad the economy is, the inflation, the stock market, and all that. As a spoiler alert, if things continue to be bad or indeed get worse, I'm thinking the Republicans won't feel like they're responsible if they've been in charge for the next 2 years going into 2024. It's a bold prediction, I know, but I think we might see a bit of hypocrisy on that in about 2 years.
I don't know what would ever make you say that.